All right, YouTubers, we're gonna make something that I think is spectacular. A thing at the beginning is, this is like a hodgepodge of a recipe that was made real, not vegan in the past, and a vegan recipe. So the recipe will be included, but it's not gonna be exactly how this comes out. So the first thing we have here, 3 cups of lentils, and I gotta mash these down with a fork. And it takes a while. They don't have to be pulverized, and I will be told by that nice voice off camera when it's smashed enough. I won't make you watch it. We'll be right back. Okay, I did that for about 2 minutes, and you can do this really carefully if you have a food processor, but I'm gonna use a potato masher now because this is gonna take a while. And again, that same voice off camera will tell me when I'm done, because this is a texture thing. You got to try to get it mashed to the right texture, because I haven't said yet what we're making, but obviously I already put it in the title, so you know. We're making Salisbury steak, and it is fantastic. It's one of those things, you know how people say, if I didn't tell you, you wouldn't know. Well, you'd probably know, but I don't think anybody would complain, because again, if you use the right seasonings, you can make things that aren't meat taste like meat. And this is spectacular. Okay, so like I told you, I'll be nice and come back when this is done. So whilst I've been doing this and told I'm getting close, there's some things I could tell you. We used about 1 pound of dry lentils. They were boiled, and it comes out to 3 cups or so when they're done. And if you don't want to do this, you can buy canned lentils that this has already been done to. But what's the fun in that? Oh yeah, saving time, that's the fun in that. I think I'm getting close. I have no idea, I'm waiting for that voice. I keep hoping I'll get told I'm done, but it's not there yet. Okay, those lentils are mashed well enough. I hope you can see it. That's what it should look like. And now we're going to add some more ingredients to this. Okay, next we got 3/4 cup of water and that better than beef bouillon, but it's non-beef. And there's about 1 teaspoon of that in there. That goes into the pot. Okay, we're going to next do vital wheat gluten. There's 1 cup of it. There's 1/2 cup of it, so 1.5 cups of vital wheat gluten. Next we got about 1.75 cups. Again, this is one of those by feel kind of things. 1.75 cups of panko or breadcrumbs goes into the pot. About 1/3 cup of soy sauce. Whee. Liquid smoke, 1 teaspoon. About 3/4 teaspoon of black pepper and about 1 teaspoon of Himalayan salt. You can use kosher. So now I'm going to start mixing this all together slowly. And this is going to take a little bit. Trying not to make a mess, but soon I'll be using these because you got to use your hands to make food sometimes. I'm just trying to originally stir it together.
We should add a bigger bowl, I guess.
We should have got a bigger. You're going to need a bigger boat.
Bowl.
Boat, you know, Jaws.
1/4 teaspoon of baking soda can lessen the seitan, the vital wheat gluten flavor. It sometimes has a strong flavor.
Now, the only way to get it done is with these. You're gonna need a bigger boat. So you want to try to knead it kind of like bread. And you can see that vital wheat gluten is doing that fibrous thing where it kind of looks like, gives you the texture of meat. And I was seeing something else, that if you're trying to make things more meat-like, you can actually knead in a grain, and you can get it to where it's almost like meat, where there's a grain to it.
I think it said knead in the same direction, so all the fibers go one way.
Right. We're not doing that, though.
We're not doing that this time.
Because we're making Salisbury steak. Did I tell you that? You read it already, didn't you, YouTube land? And I'm just keeping going until I'm told otherwise.
See, there's a lot. I guess there's a lot of those lentils that we didn't get busted up.
Should I have done a better job?
Well, that's why usually when I do something like this where it's a combination, I normally use my food processor and I'm just really careful.
Right.
Because it will bust things up better than just mashing. Especially if your lentils are not quite as soft. I guess I probably could have cooked the lentils longer, but I think these lentils have been sitting around for a while, and when beans have been sitting around, they get tougher to get soft. So it is what it is.
I'm going to ask you a question now. Were you planning all that to be in the video?
You asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't care.
It's going in there because that's a good explanation.
All right, it's up to you.
I think maybe the lentils that stay at the bottom, I'll just leave them at the bottom. Okay. Oh, I went way out of frame there. We'll see how much of you saw that, how much you saw of that in the editing process. So we think that's good. Trust me, I've had this before. If I don't screw it up, it's fantastic. It's one of those, again, you kind of know it's not, but it is so close and so good. And I've said before, as I think that trying to recreate what's considered real, is a great way to go for your taste buds to get used to the change. So that's mixed up, and we'll be back. Okay, so what's going to happen now is this is going to be turned into 9 patties like Salisbury steak, or Salisbury, whichever you prefer. So I'm going to start out with ripping this out and just making a ball, and I'll make 9 of them. And I'm getting lentils everywhere. Maybe you'll do better. Gotta be honest with you now, we're having a little lentil fear. Hopefully I did well enough. If you do this recipe, just make sure mush your lentils better. I would suggest using a food processor. We'll come back. All you're seeing is my arm now anyways. Alright, so as you can see now, I've got 9. We're going to flatten them because again, it's Salisbury steak. So old school. I guess Salisbury steak is a little bit dated. Not everybody has probably had that. Now, as we said, you keep it real. Didn't do a good enough job on the lentils. I failed. So just make sure you crush more of your lentils, and figured we'll just leave these out and not add them to it. Could be old lentils maybe, but sometimes people are just nice to you and not blame you when you didn't do things well enough.
No.
Alright, so those 9 are flattened out into patties, or Salisbury steaks, whatever you want to call them. About 3/4 of an inch thick. And then there'll be more. So what we're going to do, if you bake them for 20 minutes or so, you'll get a firmer steak. If you pan fry them without baking them, it'll be softer. So we're going to bake 6 of them, and we're going to pan fry 3 of them. And the pan is ready, so let's go do that now. We sprayed those with a little bit of Pam. 350 in the oven for 20 minutes. So this is ready. I'm going to put these in. You're going to be surprised. We're still a little concerned, hoping that the lentils are going to be okay. So you put these in a medium-high pan. You know, heat's on medium-high. And you cook them until they're brown. Inside about 3 minutes. So these ones are about done. I'm going to take them off the heat. And you can't have Salisbury steak without making mashed potatoes. So that's going. The other ones are in the oven doing their bake thing. Something else I want to show you, because Salisbury steaks have heavy gravy. These are onions that were whatted. These are onions that were sauteed, sweated, and it's a little complicated. You know, you cook them and then you put them through a strainer to get the juice out of them, and we're going to use that in the gravy, just for FYI. And the whole part of making the gravy I've yet to show you. You'll be seeing it. Alright, YouTubers, minced up about 2 cloves of garlic. Also wanted to say I got a new knife. It's a Mercer. Pretty good knife. Is about 30 bucks on Amazon. I paid for it with my own money, so I'm not getting sponsored or anything like that. But if you're looking for an inexpensive knife that's a good knife, I really like this very much so far. It's really sharp. The steel seems good and solid, and it's got a nice feel to it. So Mercer knives, I'll put a link in the description. Little olive oil. We're gonna make mushroom gravy for both the potatoes and to cook the Salisbury steaks in. So that was about a pint of white mushrooms. You can use shiitake, you can use fancy. In go the 2 cloves of garlic. In goes the onions that were sweated. I'm gonna cook these up a little bit, and then we'll be adding more stuff to it. Cook them down. Again, when you see this done, I tend to like my mushrooms cooked more than many other people. So you're cooking mushrooms, cook your mushrooms the way you like your mushrooms. We'll be back. That's about 3 or 4 tablespoons of vegan butter. Again, this is a vegan meal. So when you make gravy, you make what the fancy people call a roux. We're gonna make a roux. Oh, it smells so good. Nothing smells better than mushrooms. Okay, now we're putting in 1/3 of a cup of flour. And what you have to do with this, you have to stir it in just the flour a little bit. You gotta let the flour go a little bit like this before you add the rest of the liquid, so you don't get a flour taste to it. So that's what we're doing now. And we'll be back. Did I up the ShamWow level of excitement? I did not. This is gonna be fantastic. We're gonna put in 3 cups of broth. Again, this is the better than bouillon, vegan, no meat base. And I gotta keep stirring as it's getting added. Keep it all good.
Get you a whisk.
I need a whisk. My kingdom for a whisk. I have no kingdom, but now I have a whisk. Seriously, hang on till the end. I think those of you that aren't vegan are going to be surprised. Those of you that are vegan are going to know this is like the old days when I used to eat meat. Either way, this is a great meal. And here we have soy sauce and Worcestershire, sure, for our wonderful vegan meal. And the quantity of those 2 things was a tablespoon of soy sauce and a teaspoon of vegan Worcestershire sauce. We're gonna put in some mustard, just some French's mushroom, that much. It was what, a teaspoon? You can tell.
And a little bit of ketchup.
And a little bit of ketchup, I know. It's vegan ketchup. You know why ketchup is vegan? It's accidentally vegan. I think it might not be.
It is.
It is accidentally vegan. Like Oreo cookies, America's favorite cookie. So I'm gonna keep stirring this and not bore you with it, but it's gonna make a wonderful gravy. Wonderful gravy. Now we're gonna put the ones we pan fried in, because they're gonna need longer. You put them in as long as you think they need to be in, and then add 5 minutes. And when it gets going, you just turn it down a little bit. So what we decided to do is we're gonna put the rest of them in, and the 3 that are supposed to be softer, I put them by the handle, so that way you know which 3 they are. And again, you something like this, if you're younger, you probably didn't have stuff like this. People don't do this anymore, but
You can still buy these like a banquet meal or whatever.
yeah,
you know?
and I wouldn't suggest that, but you can do it.
If you're hungry, it's okay.
But this is like old school that some people grew up on, and you can't overcook what we're doing now. The longer you cook it, it's on low, it's just going to absorb it's just going to get fantastic as the potatoes over here continue to cook. So put the cover on it. We're going to add just a little bit more water. And again, when you cook, you've got eyeballs. Use your eyeballs. See what you need. It's scrumptious. I'm telling you, when I had these before, they were so good. I thought they were real. I knew they weren't, but I thought they were. I'm going to taste the gravy and see if it needs. I think pepper. I don't think any salt.
Okay.
But you should taste it.
It tastes good.
Tastes good. That ain't no joke. So just let it keep simmering or steeping or whatever you want to call it and absorbing that goodness. Check it every now and then, and it's gonna be great. Sometimes you might have to add a little bit more water. Use your eyes, like I said earlier. Oh, look at that goodness. We're getting ready to show you the greatness of it here in a second. And it turns into that classic comfort food. Fly over. Salisbury steak, quotation marks. Awesome potatoes. Oh, look at that steam coming off. And my favorite vegetable, broccoli. Well, this is all vegetables, really. All right, let's get into it.
When it's done, it's one of those things that just puts a smile on your face.
All right, first thing, lemon juice on my broccoli because that's what I like. All right, gonna eat this combat style broccoli. Awesome. Potatoes. Awesome. Now I got one of each of those patties. This one here was baked. Here's what it looks like. That's good. That is really close to Salisbury steak. Here's the one that was just fried. Noticeably softer. Let's see how it tastes. There you go. That's good too. I think I like both of them. Maybe the baked one a little bit better. But I will say this. If you look back at the recipe at how much salt I put in these patties, I'd probably cut that in half if I were you. They're a little bit salty. Not too salty, but if you're not a huge fan of salty, you cut that back by half, I think you'll be good to go. It's a great meal. It's vegan. Doesn't make you feel like you're eating vegan. Doesn't make you feel like you're missing out on anything. And it will help you have a great and wonderful day. That's really good. It really is good. It really is. I could keep going, and I'm gonna keep going. All right, because it's what I do, I add a little bit to the end of videos when I think I'm done. I want to say, when you were watching, I was a little bit afraid of the lentils, that they didn't get to where I want. They cooked down fine, not an issue. I would still recommend trying to break them down a little bit more than I did, but not the issue I thought they were going to be. As we said in the video, we let that simmer in the gravy for quite a bit, and that probably helped absorb a little bit of extra salt as well. So I would just say they're a little salty, and if you don't want it, cut the salt back, and they're perfect. I got no complaints. I'm still having a great and wonderful day as I finish this meal, and there will be more going in my belly.